I've talked about Regal Robot many times on the channel in the past. I've reviewed a number of their products, and I think it's safe to say that they're one of my all-time favorite companies that's making licensed Star Wars collectibles. Part of that is just that I've been impressed with their quality of the stuff that I've gotten from them over the years, but I think the main thing is that they have some really unique product lines, one of which we're going to talk about today, and that is the Archive Collection. During the production of Return of the Jedi, they had a lot of artists make maquettes or little statues to help visualize what a certain character or alien species would look like, and in many cases, the artists themselves were given total free rein to just kind of come up with a creature of some kind of their own design, and then they would be shown to George Lucas, who would pick the ones he liked and maybe make a few changes. And then those maquettes would later on be used for reference as they made the full-sized creatures or costumes or whatever it was. So in a lot of cases, these maquettes are actually the very first iterations of a character or of a creature design that we would later become very, very familiar with. So I think these are actually really important pieces from a historical perspective. Thankfully, these have all been preserved in the Lucasfilm archives, and in fact, Regal Robot was able to access the original pieces in those archives and digitally scan them as a part of this project, the Archive Collection, and that's how they're able to recreate them for us as collectibles. In previous videos, I've reviewed the Jabba the Hutt Concept Maquette, as well as the Max Rebo Concept Maquette, both from the Archive Collection. But today we're going to be looking at Ree Yees, which is a statue that is actually going to be going up for pre-order today, February 1st, 2023. I did purchase this myself, but Tom Spina over at Regal Robot kindly offered to send it a little bit early so I could make a video in time to make it available for people who might be interested in pre-ordering this. If we go back to that blurry footage from earlier from the documentary From Star Wars to Jedi, you can actually see the Jabba, Max Rebo, and Ree Yees maquettes kind of all in a line here. You can see some nice photos of the original maquette in the book Star Wars Chronicles. That's what these first three photos on the top are. And in fact, if you look on the right-hand side here, you can see the actual final design for the character, and they really made very few changes from the maquette stage to the final. When I actually got this in hand, I was impressed by how large it seemed, actually, and how heavy it was. These were not made to any particular scale, and especially if you compare them to each other, they're all over the place in terms of scale, but I'd guess this was around a quarter scale to 1/5 scale, maybe. As someone who's done some 3D modeling and 3D printing, painting of 3D printed models and things of that nature, I'm impressed with how well these scans turn out. I mean, they're really quite good looking. They look like something that someone had sculpted by hand, in my opinion. They have standardized the bases on all of these to be this black wooden base, which I think was a good idea because a lot of the actual maquettes were just on a hunk of plywood or something, and none of it was standardized. So this gives the Archive Collection a little bit of uniformity. The original Ree Yees maquette was sculpted by Chris Wayless, whose name I mispronounced in a previous video, I'm sad to say. He is an Academy Award-winning FX artist. Very storied career he has, working on not just Star Wars, but things like Raiders of the Lost Ark and Gremlins. Regal Robot actually posted a couple of interviews with Mr. Wayless on their YouTube channel, which I'll link to in the video description, but if you're at all interested in this kind of thing, it's definitely worth watching because he talks about his experience starting to work on Return of the Jedi and some of his design ideas he used when he was creating characters like Squidhead and Ree Yees. They managed to get him to sign these plaques here. This is the Chris Wayless signature edition. Actually, there's only one edition for this particular one. Some of the previous Archive Collection things have had numbered editions and signature editions, but this one is only available in a signature edition of 100 pieces. That's actually a pretty small edition size for these, especially compared to some of the other ones that they've done. So I think it's worth emphasizing that if you do want one of these, you probably shouldn't wait. I'd recommend that you go and put in your pre-order right away. These should be available for pre-order as soon as this video is live, if all goes to plan. I'll put a link in the video description to the product page so you can go right there if you're interested. In addition to the maquette and the signature plaque, you also get a separate archive collection certificate of authenticity, I guess it is. That's not what they're calling it, but it's got a little signature from Tom Spina, the founder of Regal Robot, as well as some information about the archive collection in general and this particular piece. So that's nice as well. These are all handmade in the US in small batches, as I understand it, so there's, maybe some delay depending on when you get your order in, but it's, I think, worth the wait. Well, I think that's about it for this video. I do plan to release a deep dive into the character of Ree Yees sooner or later, depending on when I can put all of that together. But in the meantime, if you're a fan of the character, I think this is definitely one of the more unique collectibles that has been made for him. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. As always, my thanks go out to my supporters on Patreon, including these Palace VIPs, Angelica Brady and Jesper Murtu. If you'd like to know how you can support the channel for as little as $1 a month, you can click the link in the video description.